You're watching Showcase. It's one of the toughest sporting events in the world, pitting man and machine against the clock over 2 weeks in the harshest terrain imaginable. It is the Dakar, a captivating drama that unfolds in South America in January every year. And this is the remarkable story of an heroic journey to and through the Dakar for an incomplete paraplegic South African. Meet Joey Evans.
I bought my first bike when I was 26. So I wasn't one of these guys that grew up riding motorbikes. I grew up riding bicycles, but I took to it straight away and just loved it. It was like, yeah, this is what I was born for.
He was hooked and on his way to the top and the Dakar, until fate intervened for the then 32-year-old. On a warm summer's day in October 2007, Joey was among 20 fired-up riders on the start line for the Heidelberg Hare Scramble.
You know, I was lying second in the regional championship, and when you're younger and you're racing, and it's important to you, you know. And so I started that race, and I wanted to go for I wanted to get the whole shot. I wanted to get that first corner first, you know. And I was involved in a big crash, and I was unconscious. And when I came around, I whispered to the paramedics. I didn't want my wife to hear at first. You know, I thought it's going to really scare her. I said, hey, I can't feel my legs. I'd also smashed 12 of my teeth. You know, I thought it was dirt I had in my mouth at first, and it turned out to be my teeth. It was a pretty traumatic day. And at the time, I didn't know what a spinal cord injury was. You know, I've seen guys in wheelchairs and stuff. It's like a lot of us with so many injuries and so many illnesses. You know a bit about it, but you don't really understand it. And so I didn't really understand what I was in for, which was probably for the better. Originally, when we started off, it was originally diagnosed as a complete T8, T9 spinal cord injury, and they said, look, you know, you're not going to walk again. This is kind of a done deal. It's one of those things, and that was pretty much the outlook that we had in the beginning. Suddenly, you're in this dark place where everything's gone. Everything, you know, all those years of playing soccer and all that's all gone. All those skills are gone. All that movement's gone. All the thoughts of you running with your kids and riding bikes and, you know, all that, it's just gone. Everything's gone. And that was hard, you know, to see your whole future just gone. I'd wanted to do Dakar before I was in hospital. And when I lay there in hospital, I thought to myself, man, it would be proper awesome to come back from this and to finish the Dakar Rally. And that was something that kind of like when I thought about it, I mean, even now, you know, I got goosies, you know, and it was like, man, that would really be something. But if I'm being honest, I just wanted to be able to walk.
And so began a monumental recovery and rehabilitation process. Joey was paralyzed from just below the chest down. Surgery to fuse the T8 and T9 vertebrae was successful. After 6 weeks in hospital, Joey went home in a wheelchair. But ahead lay a 2-year emotional and physical rollercoaster ride.
If you don't try hard, you're not going to walk, whether you had a chance or not. So you've got nothing to lose. So suck it up, put a smile on your face and give it your best, you know. And I was determined to do that, and that's what I did. And I was fortunately very blessed that I did regain a lot of movement and I was able to walk again. I haven't had everything come back, but I have a lot of partial stuff. So I have partial feeling. I can feel touch, you know, from my chest, you know, down, but I can't feel hot or cold on the skin anywhere down, and I can't feel pain on the skin. I can feel some pain internally, but it's not the proper feedback, if that makes sense. In terms of my legs, I can walk, as you can see, but I catch my feet a bit and I can't run. I can do a bit of a dodgy jog, and so if someone's chasing me hard, I can get away a little bit. But I can't jump. I can't jog up and kick a ball or any of that type of stuff. I still have limited bowel control. I still have to use catheters, and I get a lot of spasms in my legs where they jump around and that kind of stuff when I'm tired or when my adrenaline goes. I still take medication to help me digest food. So I've got some challenges, but compared to someone with a complete spinal cord injury or where I was, this is awesome. You know what I mean? I got lots and lots to be grateful for.
That positive outlook held Joey in good stead, and he focused on what had seemed like the impossible 2 years earlier, to ride a motorbike again.
The very first time was with a mate of mine, Neil, and it was just sort of a flat piece of felt type of deal, and I kind of got the leg over the bike just about, and I just fell down with the bike right on top of me straight away, and Neil, being the guy he is, he just had a good laugh at me, but helped me get the bike up and things, and on we went, and I rode just a few hundred meters and came back and stopped right next to him, and it was fantastic, but it made me feel physically sick. It was hard, you know, just being around the bike, and you know, it was tough. The next step was I bought a second-hand bike, and I got the suspension lowered, and I got the seat cut down so I get my feet on the ground. You know, I got to riding again, and yeah, just from then on it just grew.
Improbably, Joey began racing again, tackling the toughest races he could find, like the Botswana Desert Race and the Dakar Rally. Then, in 2014, he was dealt another cruel hand at the Pongola 500.
I was doing about 100 k's an hour, and I had a cow that viciously attacked me. This cow ran out, and I hit the cow, and I hit it hard. You know, it was a big get off, and I ended up in hospital in Richards Bay for a week, and it took 2 operations, you know, to fix all the problems. You know, I had an avulsion fracture in my elbow and separated collarbone, broken ribs, and you know, a bunch of other things. So it was just it was hard. It was hard going back to hospital, man. It was tough. But back we went, and we did the week, and then it was 6 months of healing, and I was miserable. It was really hard. My wife was like, "Go ride your bike," you know, because she knows, you know, that kind of gets my head right. And I did a little ride, well, for 5 days. You know, through Lesotho and down to Cape Town, just on my 450 dirt bike. You know, I took all the back roads and all the mountain passes, and that was just fantastic. That kind of got my head right, and the whole time I was dreaming about Dakar and this goal, and I came back then determined to really chase this goal hard.
The flame was burning bright, but Joey needed to qualify for the Dakar, which meant finishing in the pro class in an official ASO Dakar qualifying race.
In 2016, I entered the Dakar Rally Morocco, 6-day race. I hired a bike from a European team and went over and raced the Dakar Rally and managed to finish. And so I got my place, and then obviously I had to still send in my entry. Sent in the entry and then got this letter back to say, "Congratulations, your entry's been accepted to the Dakar Rally." And then it was like, oh, what have I done? You know, it was really kind of, it all came down. You're like, you chase this goal, and suddenly, now it comes down to, now you got to crank out these 13 days in the desert in South America, and you got to, now it's up to you.
There's more to come from Joey's remarkable journey from Para to Dakar. The 2017 Dakar was, as ever, a race of high drama, rough riding and raw emotion. Tales of courage, camaraderie and bravery abounded. But one remarkable story caught the attention of a global audience, that of Joey Evans.
Just to get to the start, for me, was a huge achievement. And obviously for friends and family, they're like, that's enough. You know, the fact that you got to the start, that's fantastic, but it's not enough. I want that finish. You know, that was really what I was there for. The first couple of days, I had a truck pass me super close, and I was like, wow, this is real. You know, this is really tough. First time I'd raced with trucks, you know. Day 4 was a tough day. Day 4 was high altitude in June, so we had 5,000 meters. So the bikes don't perform very well because of the lack of oxygen. And it was in dunes, so you need all that power, and your bikes are heavy. You know, the bikes are 180 odd kilograms. And it was tough. It was a really tough day. And my teammate, Walter de Blanche from Cape Town, he went out that day with some bike problems. And that was tough, you know, to see your buddy go out. And I tore a ligament in my knee. I've just taken a massive fall. These guys stopped to help me. Picked up the bike and stuff. I took a big one right through all this rocky stuff here. With the medical tent, they can pull you from the race. So if they decide this injury's bad enough, they sign the form and you're not allowed to ride, you're out. So you're kind of there trying to explain to the doctor, give him as much information as you can, but at the same time, you're like putting on a brave face, like, it's not that sore, no, I can move it, we're good, you're kind of trying to be all tough, so he keeps you in the race. And I thought I was going to be out, but he gave me anti-inflammatories and some painkillers, and then he strapped it and gave me a brace and stuff, and fortunately, it didn't affect me the rest of the race. It was sore a bit and things, but it wasn't as big a deal as I thought it was going to be. But that was a real big scare on day 4. There was the one day in particular I got in at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I rode through the night pretty much. And we start riding, the first bike leaves every morning at 4. So that was a long day. We did 1,150 kilometers that day. And that was insane. And so you're having these back-to-back days of having an hour's sleep, having 3 hours sleep, having 4 hours sleep, and you just back to back, and it adds up, and you find yourself on the bike. Sometimes you're riding off-road in these gnarly areas, and you're falling asleep, and you're making dumb mistakes. You're coming through corners, and you're overshooting corners, and you're fixating on a rock, which is like all the rules not to do. You're doing these things. You manage to keep ticking off the days. I'm pretty broken, you're chafed, everywhere. Everything's cramping, you're just struggling, but you just keep ticking over, one day at a time, one stage at a time, 1 kilometer at a time, sometimes 10 meters at a time, getting through thick sandy areas or mud pits and just trying to get through it. But undoubtedly the biggest challenge came on the second last day.
I just got chased down by a car. He was right behind me. I couldn't get out the way. I'm in this deep freaking rut. I try to pull over to the side and I go down and he rides right over my freaking bike. Yes, he missed me by like millimeters.
I was just gutted, man. I just thought, man, this is game over. We're done here. This is, and I dragged the bike out of the track and I stood it up, and I just couldn't believe it. The whole exhaust was mangled into the back wheel. The whole right foot peg, the whole cradle was broken off. All my navigation stuff was just smashed. I didn't have, my road book obviously wouldn't work, my ICOs wouldn't work. I couldn't navigate, now. So now I'm like, there's all of that. And smashed my petrol tanks. 2 of the 3 of the petrol tanks were smashed. And so I've lost almost all my petrol. And it was game over.
He stopped about 30 meters up, stands up, the car goes, hey, thumbs up. And I'm like, no, help me. And he's like, gets back in the car and goes. Just so insane. It just boggles the mind that Oakes it was like this close to killing me, and he couldn't get the stuff.
I had a satellite phone with me, and I phoned my wife because I know she's been tracking me. And I said, hey, you're not going to see me on the tracker today, this is what's happened, but I'm fine, I'm not injured, because obviously she's worried. And but I said, this is what's happened, And it was tough, man. It was tough. This is, like I said, it's 10 years and nearly 2 weeks of racing, and suddenly you're out on the second last day. And I hung up the phone, I looked at this bike, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going out. I can't press that button. You got a little button there, you press that button, chopper lands, picks you up, you're fed, you get to sleep, you get to go lie down, all the things you want. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to get this thing going. And I'm going to ride, and when these guys pick me up, whatever time they pick me up, I'm going to be moving. Whether I'm riding this thing, whether I'm pushing this thing, whatever it takes, I'm going to be moving when they pick me up. And so I just kind of went through the bush, just off-road, and I saw the trucks going on the track, so I made sure I was staying close to the track, because I can't navigate now. So I'm just kind of following now. And I just tiptoed through the bush, as long as I could. Probably did about 10 or 15 Ks, and then the most incredible thing happened.
I've just ridden a few kilometers without an exhaust through the bush, trying to stay out of the way, and I've just come across a bike right here, where the rider's being evacuated. He's obviously injured, so I'm just going to take everything off his bike that I need, put it onto mine, and just continue.
We got the bike running, we siphoned the petrol out of this guy's bike to use and things, and put it all on my bike, and I got to carry on riding. And I rode that bike with the bent bars and everything that whole day. And from that point, I was so far behind the other bikers that I only finished at 2 o'clock the next morning. And from that time, about 11 o'clock in the morning, I never saw another bike rider that whole time. So from 11 right till 2, I was just riding on my own with the occasional car and truck. But I got in at 2 the next morning. I had 1 hour of sleep, and then I was up again the next day, and I rode the last day and got to finish.
To ever ride a 101 is, well, I'll sort you out, don't worry buddy, after the race. But I really appreciate it, and I'm sorry for your bad luck, buddy. Freaking insane, but it shows you don't quit, ever.
But it was even more crazy because that last day, we do like a fairly small racing section, about 50 kilometers, and we have to ride 700 kilometers to get to the finishing point. And my bike had some lights flashing on it, you know, and I realized that I'd lost all my coolant. Obviously my radiator got a little bit damaged the day before. So I actually missed the time that I should have been on the podium. But because I was trying to do this, I was riding with water bottles, refilling my radiator as I went along, trying to just limp my way through to the finish. Thinking back to that time in that hospital bed, you know, dreaming about it. You know, to be there was just fantastic. And I was there because of the support I had from my wife, the support from the kids, the support from so many people that helped me raise the money, so many people that encouraged me over the years and that kind of stuff. So to be there, you just felt the presence of all these people, and to be on that finisher's podium was just incredible. People will say to me, I've had it a few times since me back, it's like, oh, you're so lucky you got this awesome story. And you want to be like, you have no idea, you know? And I guess in a way, I kind of wish, you know, people had told me about this awesome story 10 years ago. It would have certainly made it a lot easier then. And it is an awesome story. And there's so many people that are experiencing their awesome story right now, but they're still 10 years ago. And you know, people kind of need to know that, you know, they need to know that, you know, even when it's really tough, you know, you can turn it into an awesome story. And so I'd like to, you know, from now on, I'd like to start off, at least for the next year or so, of sharing that, you know, doing some talks and things, and, you know, sharing the kind of things that I've realized along this journey.
It was well worth it, come on, and I hope you all enjoyed watching.
If you would like to showcase a sporting story, an event, a character, or a spectacular achievement with us, let us know at showcase@supersport.com.